It's 2025, and if you're a coach, consultant, creator, influencer, or you just sell some sort of product or course online, and you have at least 20,000 followers across all platforms, but you're not making at least $20,000 to $30,000 per month at minimum, then you're doing something wrong. And before you click off the video, let me explain. As claimed by Mark Cuban, Gary Vee, and even Elon Musk himself, we're currently in an attention-driven economy. And what that means for you is that you can make multiple 5, 6, 7 figures online out of thin air, literally by doing nothing besides picking up your camera and recording more content to keep growing your existing audience. I mean, we are at a point right now where you can make 50, 100, even 200K per month or more without having to create a product to sell, without having to do marketing, without having to really hire a massive team, and without you having to take sales calls or doing sales yourself. Simply taking advantage of the same model that people like Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, TJR, Shelby Sapp, and Brez Scales are taking advantage of every single day. And the reason I know this is because I help similar creators generate multiple 6 and 7 figures with their brands by managing their back end, while all they do is literally pick up the camera and create more content to add more fuel to the fire. Because the funny part is, none of these people are taking the sales calls themselves, none of them are doing their own marketing, they're not handling the back-end systems, they're not managing teams, and for the most part, they're not doing any busy work besides picking up the camera to create more content while there's someone running their entire business in the back end. And that someone is running their sales process, their marketing, and even managing their fulfillment behind the scenes. So pay attention to these next 8 to 10 minutes because I'm going to break down this entire process and show you how you can better monetize your current brand in 3 steps so that you can scale to multiple 5, multiple 6, and even multiple 7 figures without burning your audience or without overhauling anything that is already working for you. So how do you get to the point where you're generating 100K plus per month by telling people what to do and yapping on camera? Well, it would start by asking the question of what do you and Brez Scales, Iman Gadzhi, TJR, Tate, and all of these huge influencers who are already doing this have in common. But before we answer that, let's look at what you don't have in common, right? The first thing is, if you're still watching this, you're probably not hitting $1 million with your brand like these people are here. And the second problem is that you're focusing on the wrong things. Everyone below here spends time and spends the majority of their time prioritizing content and not operating their business. There's someone else handling their operations and the back end, right? All of these people, and you can verify this for yourself. I mean, just look at Hormozi. Why is Hormozi making millions of dollars? It's because he studied. What does Hormozi do? Hormozi is a business genius, but he spends most of his time now making content. His wife Layla spends a lot of her time running and managing the actual operations of the business, while Hormozi is responsible for acquiring new clients and driving that traffic through the door by creating content. And again, you can verify this for yourself. He's writing books, he's creating short videos, reels, right? He's creating long form YouTube videos. That's what he's spending most of his time doing right now. But the problem is, content alone doesn't cut it. If you have 20K plus followers across all platforms, you're already doing something right with content, right? But for some reason, you're still watching this, you're probably not making 10, 20, 30K per month or more. And that's because, again, content alone won't just do it for you. And besides content, the next thing you need is an actual product to sell and a funnel, right? And I'm not talking about monetizing your brand through sponsorships. That's not a sustainable strategy to actually make money. I'm not talking about expecting people to come to you, begging you for your help. I'm not talking about expecting the content to pay for itself. I'm not talking about charging for hourly consultations or selling low ticket ebooks, stand stores. Like that stuff, yes, it could work, but it's just not sustainable. And it just doesn't make you the money that you actually deserve to make for the content you're putting out. And it's just a horrible way of monetizing your brand. It doesn't generate the ROI that you actually want, right? So how do you actually figure out what to sell? How do you come up with a product that your audience would actually kill to buy from you, right? The first thing you need to do is market research, right? And the market research phase is extremely important because that's how you find that fit in terms of like, what does your audience actually want to buy from you? What would they pay for? And you do this market research in a few ways. There's a few ways to do it. Primary ones would be directly through your audience, right? So you need to have somewhat of a bigger audience for this to be able to actually do this, which is why this wouldn't work for you if you're under like 20,000 followers at minimum across all platforms. But the first way would be through a type form, right? So you have a type form like this where, you know, the first question is, what challenges did you face before receiving the support, right? And this will be niche specific. So there's a template here that you can use. You can pause the video or you can DM me and I'll send this to you. But you can use this template, and essentially what you're asking here is, before working with me or before seeing my content, if you don't already have customers or clients, what challenges did you face? And this has to be adjusted for your specific niche, right? This is why it's a template. And then this is how you can adjust it, right? What challenges did you face in trading? What challenges did you face in confidence, in your relationships, in your dating life, depending on what you sell, right? How did these challenges affect you emotionally? I'm not going to read through all these questions because it would take too much time. So you can essentially do this through a type form by sending this out to your audience and your customers. But the better way to do this, and the way I prefer to do it, is by getting on calls with your current customers and clients. Because the way people will answer you when there's an actual connection on a call and there's like empathy, where they can actually tell that you care about their answers and you actually want to learn more, compared to them answering just a type form like this, is very different. So if you can get on calls with your followers, which you can do by literally putting up a story post and offering a free call to your followers, you're going to get much better market research than you would just by sending out a type form and expecting the most in-depth answers to come through. And And the better your market research is, the better your product is going to be, because it's going to be more tailored to what your audience is truly deep down struggling with, right? And then you're going to be able to bridge that gap of what they're struggling with and what they want by offering the perfect solution. And that's how you make a lot of money, which we're going to get into in a second. So the other way of doing this, which I want to touch on, would be through Reddit's, Quora's, Amazon reviews, as well as looking at your competitors, right? And what people are asking in their comment sections, what people are asking and saying about your competitors on Reddit, on Quora. This is the more indirect way of doing it. It's always best to do it directly with your audience. But if for some reason you cannot do it through your audience, there's things you can look up on Reddit about your niche, right? And the things you would look up would be, for example, how to solve XYZ problem, right? So whatever problem your content currently solves, how to get better at reselling, how to get better at trading, how to get more confident, how to get in better relationships, right? You just adjust this for your niche. You look up forums, you look up threads, you look up books on Amazon that offer the solution. You look at reviews there. So this is how you do your market research. Seems complex, but this is something that takes 1 to 2 days, and then you literally have the perfect product market fit, where again, your audience would kill for what you're selling. I'm not even joking. So the next step after you have product market fit is essentially creating the deliverables, right? So this is where that product market fit gets created. So let's say you sell a trading offer and you do your market research, you study, right? You now have live entry and exit alerts, daily watch lists, and you have all these deliverables that are meant to help your specific audience. And this is from an actual trading offer, right? Your specific audience bridge the gap from where they are right now in terms of like them struggling with their trading, them losing money to their markets, them not being able to scale, to where they want to be, where they're scaled up, they're at a 70-80% win rate, etc. Right? So that's essentially how you create a product that's going to sell itself. And this way, you don't have to actually push your audience to buy something. They're just naturally pulled towards buying from you because your product is so good. So from there, the next step would be creating an actual funnel to sell this product. If you look at any of these people, and again, I challenge you to verify this for yourself, you have Brett Scales, TGR, Shelby, all of these people have an actual funnel. None of them, for some reason, are running stand stores. None of them are running random lead magnets, books. This is, by the way, in all of their Instagram profiles, right? And across all of their profiles. They all have an actual funnel that sells their product. Brett has his free course funnel that then ascends people into his high ticket program because they enter their information here. I'm not gonna go too in depth on that. TGR has his own funnel. Shelby has her own funnel, right? They all have an actual funnel that sells their product. And usually this is what a funnel would look like. And this is just breaking it down from a 30,000 foot overview. You're gonna have your landing page. You're gonna have your conversion mechanism. So this could be a VSL, a webinar. This could be a straight book a call funnel. You're gonna actually have an entry point for that funnel. So there's gonna be stories, posts on platforms where you're gonna be funneling people to click on that funnel, right? And land on that landing page. You're gonna have sales assets that build trust with your audience. So this is usually gonna be in the form of YouTube videos, showing and building credibility that you know how to actually overcome the issues that your audience has. And the way you know what issues your audience has is by, again, starting with market research, right? So you see how this all kind of starts to align. And then you also have sales scripts, right? If you're running sales call funnel, you would have sales scripts. These are just some of the things you would have in your sales process and in your funnels to be able to sell the product that you come up with after doing market research. Before you start talking about how you don't have enough time for this, or this is too time consuming, or how it's gonna take you 3 to 4 months to build out, most of this stuff you can do with AI. As long as you can plug AI with the proper market research, right? You can have everything pretty much automated. You don't need to be smart to do this. You don't need to spend all your time doing this. Claude can do most of this, Claude AI. And then you can essentially have bots created with things like Poe, where it's literally gonna crank out emails, right? Like I have this bot here and I can just literally tell it to write an email for me. I can create a prompt and then it's gonna spit out weeks worth of emails for me, right? That saves a lot of time. And you can do this not just for emails, but for everything in your sales process and your funnel, pretty much everything, right? You can also get an integrator to do this for you. And this is what I was talking about at the start of the video, right? Because none of these people run the operations or the busy work. All of these people have those integrators. TGR has an integrator. Iman has an integrator. Tate has an integrator. Alex has an integrator who is his wife, Layla, right? She's managing most of the backend. She's running a lot of the operations. Bress has an integrator. All of these people have an operator or an integrator who runs this backend. Because again, what they're focused on is yapping on camera, creating content, and then someone like me integrates the entire process, the entire funnel, and actually helps them scale and make money, right? And if you're looking for someone like that, you can DM me on Instagram, which is in the description below. Now, once you figure out what funnel you want to do, you can create the funnel, right? And you usually want to base the funnel around what you do and kind of like what your audience is going to prefer. But let's create a funnel live here. I'm going to do a quick funnel walkthrough here. And this is a funnel I've built for a random creator. This is the sales process, the funnel, right? So the first step of creating this person's funnel would be to do market research calls, right? Isabella here, we would need to see what her audience actually wants, right? Then we would find what channels is her audience on. So it looks like she's on Instagram, she has an email list, she has a TikTok, she has a YouTube. Then the way we would launch her product and start making more money than she's currently making, we would send people to a wait list. Then when we would launch, we would have a launch sequence, we would have a cart open, we would have people booking sales calls, we would have people buying her product, and we would advertise this on all platforms. This is how we would do a launch and make multiple 5, even 6 figures, right? With the actual funnel itself, it could be a call via sell to a form. Then if someone is unqualified, they would go to a low ticket or a mid ticket downsell with order bumps to increase how much they spend on that downsell. If they're qualified, they're going to book a call with a salesperson, right? The one thing you should never be doing is taking sales calls yourself. That's one of the first things that you need to outsource. And that's because having an experienced sales rep selling your product is one of the fastest things you can do to scale your business right away. And one more thing that's important to note with funnels and when you're selling products like this is to patch all the leaks, right? So when someone abandons a sales call or when someone has failed on the sales calls, you need to have win-back sequences, right? And these are email sequences, these are dials, these are text messages to try to win back those leads. Now that's a very simple breakdown of what a funnel could look like for this creator, and your funnel would have to be custom to your audience and what you do. Now, the next step after you actually sell the product, right? After you have the funnel, you have the market research, you have a product that sells, is fulfillment. And most people overcomplicate fulfillment. Fulfillment does not have to be complicated. You do not need to film a 20-hour or a 10-hour course before you start selling your product. You can start fulfilling as soon as you start getting signups. And the course could literally be made as you're actually coaching people, right? So let's say you launch a product, you do a product launch like this, and you start making multiple 5, 6, maybe 7 figures with your brand. Now you can start making the actual program as you're already making money and you have a proof of concept that the product sells, right? So then you do coaching calls, and then what you can do to provide maximum value is take those coaching calls, cut them up where you answer specific questions and solve specific problems that your customer avatar faces and put those into individualized course modules, right? And this way you're literally creating the course on the go. And coaching and consulting, if it's not something you want to do, and if you want to stick to the model of just simply yapping on camera, creating content, and letting the money come in on its own, you can outsource coaching. It's very easy to do. You can hire from your audience, because if you have an audience of at least 20,000 people, that means that you have other people who do exactly what you do, who are also experts in the field following you. You can literally post on your story and just hire from your actual audience. And you can also pay competitors who are doing worse than you on a per client basis or a base salary to actually help you with the fulfillment, right? So other coaches, other creators who are doing what you do, just literally paying them to coach your clients. And the end result of all of this is that you don't have to do anything besides making content to grow your audience, grow your brand, especially if you have an integrator handle this entire process. I mean, verify this for yourself. Again, look at the biggest person in your space. Who is the biggest person that you know who makes content around the same thing as you do? They will have this exact system in place, and that's how they're making the money they're making. And that's why there's also competitors with similar followings to you who are making more money than you from their content, from their audience. It's because they have a proven process in place, and usually they have someone on the back end who manages this process while they focus on the content and focus on growing their audience and delivering value to that audience. When you have all these things in place, all of a sudden you stop having a brand with inconsistent revenue and you start having a predictable business. You write a few emails at the start of the month and then you can't do it anymore. That's what you need. Now, if you're looking for help with monetizing your audience, making an impact in a valuable way, a way that's going to be valuable to your audience, and just monetizing your brand, scaling your brand and your business, DM me on Instagram with any questions that you have and we'll go from there. Otherwise, implement this process on your own. You can literally use AI to outsource most of this. Even if you're a creator, even if you're a solopreneur, there's literally no excuses at this point, right? You can make a lot of money. As long as you have an audience, as I said, at least 20,000, you're good. You can make 20, 30K per month minimum. If you're not there yet, follow this, DM me on Instagram with questions, use AI to your advantage, take advantage of it. Everything you need, all the tools are already there. At this point, it's just about taking action.